some political angles and what maybe your comments will be in regards to that. And I want us to look at some of the results that have come through and maybe just give a little bit of an analysis of that. And I'd like us to start with Kirinyaga County. And Kirinyaga County is unique because, one, we are possibly going to see one of the first women governors coming into place, but also looking at who Anne Waiguru, once she is, if she's pronounced as the governor, is beating the likes of Martha Karua, a very experienced lawyer, very experienced political figure in this country who has even gone for president. But what is also unique about this particular area is the fact that Anne Waiguru still has a lot of, would say, baggage that is coming with from CS of devolution. And if we can just look at those figures, we have Anne Waiguru basically leading with 159,361, which is 54%, and Martha Karua with 120,183, 40.79%. Your analysis of this, scenario.
Yeah, that's a very, very interesting election outcome there. But in political science, there's something known as the Bradley effect. The Bradley effect is that it's really impossible. No matter how you can try and predict the outcomes through polling or whatever, it's sometimes impossible to determine how people make decisions.
In fact, they say the best poll is the election. So this basically
absolutely. So it's really impossible to determine how people are going to make their decision. But we can make predictions. For instance, the win by Anne Waiguru is really, I think, determined majorly on the nature and character of our politics, which is really determined by which political party you're in. Remember that our political party system is not really stable. It is not based on ideologies. We've been having massive changes of political parties to the point whereby the dominant leader of that ethnic community, in this case for the Kikuyu, it is the Uhuru Kenyatta. For the Kalenjin, it is William Ruto. Wherever these dominant leaders go, anybody who is in that political party stands a chance to be elected. So perhaps that explains the Anne Waiguru win in Kirinyaga. She was in Jubilee, and therefore anyone in Jubilee in Kirinyaga really stands to win. Even though you can say that Martha Karua didn't do badly, the elections were somehow close.
And at some point, she actually did say that she's now supporting Uhuru Kenyatta for presidency, which of course was a political strategy.
Yeah, as a political strategy, she had to do that in view of the nature of our politics. Coming from NASA and then going to Jubilee was a strategic move for her to ensure that she gets that support advantage that is associated with the Jubilee. Insofar as the corruption allegations facing Anne Karua is concerned, it's up to the people. We determine our own destiny. If we believe that despite all those allegations that she's facing, remember she's innocent until
proven guilty. But it's not also the first time that Kenyans are doing something out of what would be seen as the norm. Because remember, Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy, William Ruto, were in ICC at the point where we were going for the 2013 elections. And even the US were on record saying that every decision we make has a price to pay, which is not what would be expected in a norm. Is it a uniquely Kenyan thing that we do not care so much about allegations as opposed to, this is our person?
What I want to emphasize on this issue is that if you look at our constitutional and political history, is that political parties in Kenya are not based on any defined ideologies. Political parties are based on ethnic mobilization. Political parties are based on really, they are defined along those ethnic cleavages. Ethnic cleavages. It's absolutely important to emphasize that. And whichever coalition that brings on board major ethnic communities and gets support from the other smaller tribes by either promising them to be seats in government wins the way. In this case, the Jubilee coalition. So if you look at it in that perspective, you get the impression that it doesn't matter what allegations the leader is facing. It doesn't actually matter. So long as you are in that dominant ethnic coalition, then you will be re-elected. You will be elected. So it explains why in 2013 Uhuru got a lot of support from his community. Ruto, again in that particular ticket, got a lot of support from the Kalenjin community. The entire of Rift Valley voted overwhelmingly for William Ruto. So if you look at it along those lines, you get the feeling that in Kenya we don't really make our choices based on ideas, based on issues, but we make our decision based on those political perceptions.
On political perceptions and tribe. But if that be the case, then how do you explain Nairobi? Because Nairobi, of course, it's a cosmopolitan city.
Yes.
But you have Mike Mbuvi Sonko, who even is on record saying he is one of those who enjoys the support of all tribes, basically speaking, and sitting also a very strong contender, even Skidero. And if we can just look at those figures so that we are talking from a point of what we have from the IEBC portal. Nairobi, if we can look at Nairobi, which is now 53.51% for Mike Mbuvi Sonko with 831,539 votes against even Skidero of NASA with 665,782, 42.84%. So does that narrative of having a tribal support now again change when it comes to a cosmopolitan city like Nairobi?
Yeah, let me just explain something a bit technical here. Is that the constitutional framework that we have is a tool to ensure that we are governed properly. But if you ask me, the way our constitution has been designed, the design of the constitution creates room where the winner is supposed to take it all. Because our constitution creates a presidential system at both the national and county level. So the CEO of the county at the national level and the CEO, the CEO of the nation, the president at the national level, and the CEO of the county at the county level, in this case the governor, are products of this system. Now, that system really does not fit within our ethnic-based realities on the ground. The ethnic cleavages that we have on the ground then requires mobilization. So you'll find that the loser will always cry fall, saying that I lost unfairly, and therefore then they put on board other options, in which case political options, like we saw in 2013, where they refused to go to court and said, no, we don't trust even the court system and all that. So in my view, that scenario does not necessarily apply to Nairobi. Nairobi is a cosmopolitan, as you rightly say, a cosmopolitan county. It's a county with all the communities, even though the voting pattern is largely reflects that ethnic-based picture. But now there's a very, very unique issue in politics, which PLO Lumumba called the Sonkonization of politics. This arises simply because, and you can go to some countries in South America to really determine how a person like Sonko can rise from the doldrums to end up to become a governor of a city that is very strategic in Africa insofar as the regional economy is concerned. You can imagine someone like Sonko who does not have that aura in terms of the tie, the English mannerisms, the Victorian morality.
What you possibly would have inherited from the monarch, you know, as a typical description of a leader.
Absolutely. So if you look at how Nairobi has been stratified, there's a very, very large informal settlement which has largely ignored. And this is the informal settlement in the slums which made Sonko member of parliament. He got large votes from this settlement. Secondly, he also got significant votes from this section of the society when he ran for senator. In fact, he's the only candidate in 2013 who got more votes than anybody else because of that factor. So again, that factor may have propelled him to win the Nairobi governor's seat. So you get the feeling that people at the center, people on the ground are getting dissatisfied with the system. Like there's been a lot of talk that Governor Kidero has not delivered. A lot of talk, it can be factual, it cannot be factual. But people are saying he has not delivered.
What do you think possibly drives the Nairobian voter, given that, like you've mentioned, Sonko may not fit into, or did not fit into until now, he, changed his dress code into what you'd imagine to be a governor of such a huge a city that is literally almost the capital city of Africa, as it were, in many forms, and we're looking at it economically, but still, somehow the voter gets there. Is it because he's able to marshal the numbers on the ground, which is basically what matters, as opposed to maybe the technocrats who sit in offices and are very good at criticizing, but are not very good at going to vote?
Yeah, I think Sonko is very good in terms of that mobilization of the forgotten masses. The persons who we only go to for purposes of getting their votes, then we forget about them, because these are the people who live in informal settlement. These are people who ride in matatus. These are the people who work very hard in Nairobi to get a decent meal. So Sonko is able to connect with this section of the society, is able to mobilize them to then vote for him with a promise that he's going to change the status quo. So that really is very, very important, even though if you look at it in the context of the policies which we are supposed to adopt as an urban city, insofar as an urban setup is concerned, there are certain policies which are really central. Like in Nairobi, what we need in Nairobi is an integrated urban development infrastructure. Right. We need proper housing, basic sanitation, the sewerage services are supposed to be working, that garbage collection and all that. So probably Sonko is going to be a victim of that success, because being governor then is not a very, very easy task. You must balance all those interests. You must ensure, like for instance, you need to have adequate resources. The money which Nairobi County gets from the National Exchequer is not enough to build to build decent housing, for instance, in Mathare slums alone. So how is Sonko going to ensure that his base does not get disadvantaged?